Have you ever wondered why it's so hard to get what you want? And why certain things just appear to happen to you? Well, there's a secret to manifestation that is not as simple as simply visualizing what you want really hard and then putting some fake emotion behind it. And then saying some affirmation that basically says that you don't have what you want and that you'll never receive it. Some people think, okay, I understand. I am the creator. I'm at one with God. And so as a creator, as an individuation of source, that means I have all the co-creative abilities. So I command now that this happen. And then they wait, and then they wait, and then they wait, and they say, oh, forgot to say, and so it is. It is done, and nothing happens. And so the process of manifestation is much more than just simply visualizing something or thinking something and then expecting it to happen without taking any action. You know, the process of manifestation is actually much more scientific and mathematical. So when you know this mathematical process of taking a thought and manifesting it in a tangible reality, you get to the point where you can actually control your reality. And a lot of people have negative connotations to the word control. But let me ask you this. If you could control your reality completely, would you have more inner peace? I think the reason most people are in fear or depressed or in some type of emotional conundrum is because they cannot control their reality. And so learning the process of manifestation is very important. Most people on earth have very little control. They have very little power. They're actually extremely disempowered. So they're walking around in their own little thought frequency fence of fears, unaccomplished wants, doubts, and that basically lowers their frequency to where they attract the same level of people, places, times, things, and events in their reality. And so what happens is you get people very disempowered, having to depend on someone outside of them to actually give them something like love, approval, appreciation, money. You know, you have to work for a company. You have to ask an outside God to produce something for you rather than being a co-creator with that one source. So unless you have an understanding of how manifestation actually happens, and I'm talking about an understanding of divine physics, you'll not understand how your reality is created. And so what appears to be out there is actually being projected from within. You know, every single thought that you think is a template of consciousness. And so this template of consciousness, if you focus on it long enough, you can manifest it in your reality. And so that's the process of thought manifestation that a lot of New Age teachings talk about, but they can't really do it. They can't manifest consistently. And I'm sure most people watching this have had frustration with trying to use those techniques. So what's important to know is that we live in a self-correcting system. It is a perfect system. And there are perfect universal laws that operate in this system. So when you know those universal laws, you can operate in line with those. For example, the law of choice and consequence, or the law of cause and effect, otherwise known as the law of karma. You know, the law of karma basically says whatever we choose, whatever thought we seed, we get to see the consequence or result of that. And so everyone can pretty much agree that their thoughts, their choices, their words manifest reality. But they don't really have a conscious ability to control that. You know, think about two people talking at a coffee shop. You know, they're creating all these different thought forms and sending them out. and most of the time it's probably gossip about other people. So imagine the potential realities that they're creating by those thought forms. And that's why most people have very little power over their reality. They're not focusing their thought power on what they want to manifest and then following through with the proper actions here in the 3D to manifest that into reality. And so this universe actually operates by specific parameters. And so these parameters are like the original intentions of this particular time matrix. If you don't know the rules, then it's kind of hard to play the game. For example, one of these laws or one of these original intentions is unconditional love. So we are imbued with unconditional love. It's like the love program is running through every particle of our being and every particle of everyone's being and every particle of every planet, universe, and galaxy. So if we're imbued with unconditional love, if this is one of the original intentions of Source, and we are in a free will universe, which we are, we can choose opposite of unconditional love. For example, we could choose self-diminishment, or we can choose self-blame, or we can choose self-judgment. So self-judgment, we can do that because we're in a free will universe, but that's directly against divine right order. And so if we're going directly against divine right order, what's going to happen? We're allowed to do that up to a certain point. And at that point, the self-correcting system, the divine physics of Source, kicks in, and we have a forced awareness, or what is called a karmic consequence. So a karmic consequence may be we create an illness or a disease in our body. You know, we're constantly feeling bad about ourselves. We're constantly judging ourselves. We are twisting those energy patterns in our body that create a blockage, and so we cannot accrete more life force energy into us. And those blockages are eventually manifest into 3D physical disease or illness, or a catastrophic illness later on in life. You don't just catch a disease. You know, first it's manifest by a discordant thought. And so when you understand the divine physics and these original intentions like unconditional love, cooperation, the law of one, and cause and effect, you can align your choices with that, and you can surrender the ego and free will, or the free will choice of your ego and personality to what is called source will. So source will, if you surrender your choices to source will, which is unconditional love, cooperation, the law of one, the law of cause and effect, then your life just flows. You're like an instrument of Source. You're truly an individuation of God. And so that's how we get control of our manifestation reality, our holographic reality that appears to be out there, but that we're actually projecting from the inside. So another way to think of this is that imagine you are in the third story of a movie theater, and you are the one operating the movie. So what is projecting the movie? Well, you have the projector, and then you have the film in the projector. So that's projecting the reality for everyone watching the movie. If we want to change the movie, we don't go down to the first floor and try to cut out the screen. You know, we have to go in to the third floor and change the film. So the film, in this analogy, that's your thoughts. Most people are just projecting the movie of their past over and over because they're not consciously thinking about what they want to manifest on the screen. So when you realize that's what's happening, we're manifestation machines, we're constantly manifesting, and you know the actual language to program that, then you can take control of this. And so what is the language to control your manifestations? Well, it's not external language like English. Using external language like English would be like going to a PC that has a lot of viruses, opening up a Word document, and then typing, "I'm now a Mac that is completely protected from viruses." And you type that and you say, "It is done, so be it." It's done. And then nothing happens, right? So in order to change that computer, you have to go to the operating system level. You know, you have to go to the BIOS. You have to reprogram the operating system. And so the language of your higher self, the way to program that, is actually the language of symbols, light, color, and sound. It's not an external language. An external language, like an affirmation, that's just going to manifest with the 3D part of you. But if you want to do powerful manifestations, you take your thought, your intention, and you put it in to the language of your higher self, and then you set that in motion by running it through your system. And so then you're walking around with this manifestation, and it eventually pops out into your hologram. So understanding that is a big key, because you stop doing all the things that don't work, and you work on doing something that is manifesting at a higher level. When you manifest at a higher level, what happens? Well, basically, what happens is your manifestations happen in line with your higher self. So if you want to manifest finances, you can do that. If you want to manifest $1 million, you can do that. But what's going to happen is, before you would have thought, I want to manifest $1 million. But the only way you could think of doing that is by winning the lottery. That's your level of consciousness. And so you set that manifestation in motion, then you think, well, I have to go play the lottery because that's the only way I can win this. But your higher self, if you do the manifestation at that level, your higher self is able to take your intention and organize this in a way that it happens for your highest good, in line with your soul's purpose, and you manifest $1 million in divine right order and divine right timing. So you don't create any more karmic imprints. You know, instead of winning the lottery and, you know, losing it all, you start working in line with your soul's purpose. You help millions of people, and you make millions of dollars. The manifestation comes out much better than you could ever expect. And so that is the science of manifestation. Thank you.